Okay, and you said that the department's likely to exist for around 2.5 years. So, are there any plans if suddenly transitional arrangements are needed, and it could be, 3 or 4 years down the line? Are there any arrangements for monitoring progress after we've left and the deals are done? Because there will be ongoing work in, say, some of the trade negotiations. So, is 2.5 years long enough?
Well, we'll see when we get closer. I mean, one of the things I hope the committee realises is we have to focus and prioritise what we're doing. At the moment, we're prioritising the policy work, the engagement. What they call the engagement work is a word I hate, but it means getting out and talking to the industries and the universities and all the other involved sectors, civil society, as well as our diplomatic interlocutors. So that's what we're focusing on at the moment. And the pattern of requirement over the course of that 2.5 years will change. So from now until shortly after March, it's massively predominantly policy driven. From March onwards, there'll still be policy action because we may need to switch some approaches. And then when we get towards the end of that period, we'll have a good idea well before then whether we need to extend anything. But generally speaking, I don't think we're expecting a major demand for the department thereafter. But as I say, we'll make those decisions close to the time.
Okay, and obviously we were very impressed when we went to visit the department, and there's some excellent...
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing a bit.
Sorry, we were very impressed obviously when we visited the department, and there's some excellent and senior experienced people there, but there was some concern that a large number of the team are quite experienced from Whitehall's perspective in terms of being process driven, rather than looking at the individual areas of expertise, such as with the devolved administration, such as with trade, with things like some of the concerns that universities have. There wasn't that sort of experience coming through. How are you going to tap and deal with some of those gaps?
Well, two different ways. I mean, firstly, you're right, but although they do tend to come from departments that have that exposure. Secondly, we have been, a vast quantity, I've got the numbers here, vast quantity of engagement activities with various stakeholders who themselves, I say to all of them, put in papers, analyse your problem for us so we understand it, quantify it, give us what your solutions are, tell us what you're worried about with respect to our policy proposals. We do all of that. And we're also taking on some outsiders. I mean, you're quite right. The cleverest civil servant in the world may take some time to get up to speed, I don't know, on insurance passporting or just-in-time manufacturing systems or customs systems, those sorts of things. And so we do look for a bit of grey hair outside, but we're doing that more gradually. We can take some time over that component of it. With respect to the devolved administrations, we have put in place a committee called JMCEN. I apologise for the acronym, Joint Ministerial Committee European Negotiations is what it stands for. And as a part of that, there's been a fairly sizable set of bilateral meetings between our civil servants in Whitehall and the civil servants in each of the devolved administrations. Something we take very, very seriously indeed. I mean, the first place I went to visit on appointment virtually was Northern Ireland, and then Ireland after that. I've been to Scotland, I've been to Wales, to make those contacts. But that's the other thing we're doing there. And that if anything, is getting stronger over time.
Okay, and just because I was looking at the boards that have been established by the department, and I understand there's about 7 boards, 3 of which are predominantly looking at the process of leaving the EU. There was just one around markets, one around justice and security, one around trade, and one around EU funding. Do you think the focus of the department is enough about sectors of the country that are going to be affected either positively or negatively by leaving the EU? Or do you think the focus of the department is still on the process of the actual exiting?
Well, let me go back to the analysis I was talking about before, that we started the 57 industrial and service sectors. As I say, they cover 85% of the economy. The bits that are not in the 85% are things like imputed rent, public service sections and so on.